Do you know how radioactivity can help us killing cancer cells? There are many ways, but today we're going to explore how radioligands work, a therapy that has been making headlines in recent months due to mergers and acquisitions in the pharmaceutical sector. And do you want to know which Nasdaq companies are working on this topic? Stay tuned, we are starting the taxi. Welcome to Taxi Biotech, a program where we explore news and updates from the world of biotechnology, learning about its impact on the stock market. The stock data I show here reflects the trends of companies or the clinical trials, but does not constitute any investment advice. This is purely for entertainment. Today we begin our journey at abandoned nuclear power plant in Spain, Lemoyne Nuclear Power Plant. When we think of radioactivity, we usually associate it with energy, but it can also be used in therapies to combat diseases. Radioligand is a combination of three elements: an antibody that specifically targets cancer cells, a chelator which holds the structure together, and a radioactive molecule capable of damaging DNA and killing the cancer cell. It is injected intravenously and travels through the bloodstream until the antibody encounters the tumor cell. Once there, the molecule is internalized and the radioactivity does its job, destroying their DNA. Does this work for all tumors? No, it doesn't. The antigen that the molecule binds must be highly specific to the tumor, as it could otherwise also attack healthy tissues. So far, only two therapies have been approved specifically for prostate cancer. Let's dive into these two therapies. First one, Pluvicto from Novartis. Pluvicto follows the same mechanism of actions, but in a much more Star Wars style, using microscopic laser beams on DNA. This antibody targets PSMA, a prostate-specific membrane antigen, in patients with metastatic prostate cancer who have already received androgen receptor inhibitors and chemotherapy. Do radioligand work? Let's check the efficacy data for Pluvicto as an example, just an example of an approved therapy. The first graph is a progression-free survival curve. The blue line represents Pluvicto plus standard therapy, the red line represents standard therapy alone. There is a 60% reduction in disease progression, meaning a longer period before the cancer worsens or the patient dies. And the second one is the overall survival curve. 38% reduction in mortality with Pluvicto. Any patient would sign up for a treatment that can extend their life by almost 40%. Additionally, radioligand therapy shows a much higher response rate compared to standard treatments. This data is just an example of the therapy effectiveness in killing tumor cells. However, each case is individual and should be handled by a medical professional. The second therapy approved is Xofigo from Bayer. This radioligand is for prostate cancer that has metastases to the bones. This therapy uses alpha-emitting molecules instead of beta-emitters like Pluvicto. Okay, is it safe to inject radioactivity into the body of the patients? Okay, there should be some precautions. Patients must avoid close contact with others for 3 to 7 days after treatment. This means that there are some risk, but the risk of cancer progression is much greater, of course. The most common side effects are similar to those of other cancer treatments. Radioactive molecules pass through the kidneys and liver, and potentially causing toxicity. So could radiation affect other parts of the body and cause mutations? Well, if the radioactive molecules kill cells, there is no risk of creating a new tumor, because the cell is going to be dead. If the radiation is mild, the body has repair mechanisms. Okay, no treatment is 100% risk-free, but if you have cancer, eliminating the cancer is the priority. And there are different types of radioactive elements with different properties, and scientists are researching on this topic. Nowadays, we have beta emitters like Pluvicto that can penetrate multiple cells with low doses of radiations, but alpha emitters could have benefits because they have high energy but can only travel a few microns between cells. In 2024, there was an explosion of mergers and acquisitions among big pharma companies focused on radioligand therapies. big players acquiring smaller innovators. In December 2023, Lilly acquired POM Biopharma, gaining an extensive pipeline with phase 3 drugs. In May 2024, Novartis acquired Mariana Oncology. Shortly after, AstraZeneca bought Fusion, a company with less advanced drugs but valuable expertise in radioligands. And Sanofi didn't want to fall behind and acquired Orano and Radiomedics, which had advanced neuroendocrine cancer treatments. Why does this happen? When a major acquisition occurs in a field with potential, it triggers a domino effect on mergers among other biotech companies, driving up stock price for all smaller companies with promising pipelines. In the list of links, I will leave this webpage, which summarizes a lot of companies working on this topic. A lot of them from China. Hey, but this is Taxi Biotech. Which publicly traded companies are developing radioligands therapies? Excluding the big pharma, of course. Here are some Nasdaq list companies firms working on radioligands. First one, Telix Pharmaceuticals. It has extensive pipeline with advanced therapies for prostate, kidney and neuroendocrine and musculoskeletal cancers. It is also developing diagnostic compounds, a growing sector, generating revenue. Looking at the chart, this is a new listed company, but financials appear to be strong because it has no losses. Diagnostic products helps them to has this revenue. There are other companies like Lantheus with a pipeline partnerships with Point Biopharma, now owned by Lilly. The stock performance, it's okay, but contract details between Lilly and Point will determine the profitability. Next, Radiopharm Theranostics, with an early stage pipeline with innovative PD-L1 radioligands, for example, for lung cancer. I have doubts here because PD-L1 is also present in healthy tissues, which may limit effectiveness. For me, a point for radioligands is that the antigen should be very specific of cancer cells. The chart here is similar than Telix because it started in December. Next, Actinium Pharmaceuticals. They are seeking for partners or buyers to fund their studies. The stock performance is not quite good, reflecting the uncertainty of securing a deal for these components. And the last one, Cellectar Biosciences, with advanced pipeline actively seeking a buyer to bring this therapy to the market, this phase 3 pivotal trial. They have a press release telling that they have determined that this program might be best to be brought to market by a larger organizations with greater resources. So the stock performance reflects this. So which company stands out? Telix appears to have the most complete pipeline and best long-term prospect. I found here in Twitter, every links in the comments below, a potential revenue chart. It's quite high for prostate cancer. I think that the competition here is big, but they can have a quite decent revenue. So we end our journey. You know now what is a radioligand, which companies are developing it, and which one listed on Nasdaq have the best future perspective, knowing their pipelines. And we end our journey at one of Spain's former radioactive mines, where uranium was once extracted, but now is banned totally in Europe and in Spain. However, modern technology allows us to extract radioligand materials artificially, or take radioactive waste and recycle it for therapeutic use. And that's all for today. See you in the next episode of Taxi Biotech. Bye!